Hello, howdy, welcome everyone. Happy Friday. Welcome to Angular Air. My name is Alyssa Nichol. I am your host today with my co-host Mike Brocky. How are you doing, darling?
I am doing well. This is a Friday I've been looking forward to. Long couple weeks.
Yeah, I was so excited when you asked Wagner to come on today. Which spoilers? We'll get to that. Before we get to our spoilers, I want to do a shout out real quick for our sponsor of today, and so I'll pull them up. Big shout out to Breebug. They are an enterprise Angular company for. They have expertise that you can count on for large scale migrations, to team trainings, to architecture on consulting for your architecture internally. Breebug helps companies build Angular apps at scale. So you can check them out at breebug.com. And I think we are ready to introduce our guest of honor today.
Yay.
Drum roll, and I guess it really wasn't too spoilery since he's right here with us. Welcome, Wagner. How are you doing today, darling?
Doing great. Thank you so much for having me on.
With everything that's going on in Angular, I feel like there's been an influx of new developers joining the community. So would you, for those who have not yet had a chance to interact with you or to see your content, would you introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Wagner. I am on the Angular components team. I've been on for, I think, 5 or 6 years now. So it's been, I'm surprised at how fast time has gone by. But yeah, I started off working on Angular material. My very first project was on like the Angular pre-renderer. And then I did like a hard shift to work on Angular material. And yeah, and now that's taken me to delivering Angular ARIA.
Which was just yesterday, am I right? It launched.
That's right. Yeah, it was quite a crunch.
Congratulations, by the way, on the launch and the release. How are you feeling? Are you feeling pretty good about it? Are you feeling like whiplash?
I'm feeling, well, number one, I'm feeling tired, but I'm feeling really, really happy with what we were able to put together, what we were able to deliver. Yes, super, super happy with what we as a team have been able to accomplish.
Yeah.
And what status is ARIA? Being that it's brand new and everything else, I'm assuming it's not like stable, but I know there's a few different levels of not yet stable. So where are we at before we can get into what it is?
Yeah, I would love to clarify. So Angular ARIA launched in developer preview, which means it is experimental. And we have taken the approach of like, let's over deliver, like let's put a lot out there so we can get a lot of feedback in this window where things are in developer preview. And having more out there allows us to paint like a more coherent narrative across all of the components, make sure their APIs are as unified as possible. And so we are, again, like they're launched in experimental, and we're going to take advantage of this experimental phase so that we can polish up these components.
I think it was wasn't it just last week we were on stream and there were some people in chat who were saying it wasn't about Angular ARIA, it was about something else. I think maybe even Signal Forms. And they were like, yeah, we're already using it in production. Are you aware that people, even though you label things as experimental, are like maybe possibly shipping with it?
Yeah. I 100% understand that. And we are definitely taking precautions. We're not going to do like crazy rug pulls. The majority of like what's planned for version 22 is like internal refactors of like, hey, we see some overlap between these two components. Maybe now is our chance to like abstract a little bit and unify their implementations, things like that, smaller details.
I was just mainly curious if it excited you or if it made you nervous or if you were, because I personally would be like, yes, experimental.
Yeah, it excites me, but it also makes me nervous because I don't want to break anybody, you know?
Oh, so excited. And there's 9, correct?
Time,
oh, sorry, Mike.
So by putting that experimental flag or dev preview flag on there, it's basically, if you want to use it, we don't advise you use it into production, but you're using it at your own risk. If that's a risk that you and your organization are comfortable with, fine. But if things change, we've already set that expectation for you, and you need to handle that accordingly. That's on you.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I think you phrased it exactly right.
So Wagner, you've been leading the work on this Angular ARIA initiative. Can you give us the high level of the why behind it? What problem you're solving with this? And someone even mentioned roadmap, maybe the problems like in the future to solve with it.
Yeah. Okay. I could talk on this for a long time. So please interrupt me. I'll try to be very concise. Number one is.
Are
So,
you going to real quick, because I want to potentially pause the conversation. Are you? Well, I guess I already did pause it. Are you going to be talking about roadmap, or do we want to give an intro of what ARIA is for anybody who may not be familiar with the project and its goals?
Yeah, I'll give an introduction to what it
Perfect.
is, and then I'll get into a little bit of like the why we decided to build this thing.
Cool.
Angular ARIA is a set of headless, meaning like completely unstyled accessibility primitives. They're meant to align with basically if there's like a role something, like there's a role combo box, there's a role menu, a role grid, right? We want to take the responsibility of implementing the accessibility behind those roles. That frees developers up to implement whatever styles they want to do. And they're also very low level is not a great word for it, but I've been using that phrase because I think it communicates the message. But they are low level in the sense that they're all directives. So you can structure your DOM however you want. Like you have, I shouldn't say however you want, but because there's accessibility implementations on how you structure your DOM, but you have way more freedom on how your DOM gets organized and all the control of like, I'm going to put this div here, I'm going to put this over here. And these are getting into the why now. This flexibility of like being able to style however you want, being able to structure your DOM however you want. This is not something that Angular Material offered, and it's not something that really like developers had a good story for, both outside of Google and inside of Google. And so this is something that we felt excited to deliver on. That's one portion of the story, is the flexibility part of it. The other is internally, we did want to unify implementations across like different frameworks inside of Google. And so this is like a subtext, a like subtext underneath all of this. There is like a layer underneath Angular ARIA, which we call like UI patterns. And in the Angular ARIA directory, you will find a private package filled with like basically like the same components. So if there's a combo box in Angular ARIA, there's a combo box in the private package. If there's a grid in Angular ARIA, there's a grid in the private package. And these are all basically state machines using signals that implement all of the functionality and like the behavior for these roles, these patterns. The idea being, we can create an Angular wrapper for this, but we can also create wrappers in other frameworks for this, so that if someone wants to use a totally different framework from Angular, as long as that framework supports signals, we have like a common reactivity system to build on top of and share the fundamental implementation. So that was like a bigger narrative internally. But we felt that the flexibility story combined with this was enough that we felt this was a very important project that we wanted to produce.
Have they already been used with other frameworks internally? I don't know. Is that like, am I allowed to ask?
You can ask, you can ask. We're working on that. Definitely like the step 0 was like launch these for Angular, you know, like let's prove that this is a meaningfully useful and valuable thing for developers just with Angular first, and then we can work on like expanding the scope of the project after that point. But yeah, that's a big portion of this narrative.
Nice. Oh, I've seen questions in the chat. I'm going to try to pull up a couple. Michael just asked another question I saw someone ask: will Material transition into the head for the headless ARIA components?
That's a great question. Okay, this actually ties into some other like conversations around like, I think we're getting into like the migration space, where it's like, is Material going to do a migration to go from whatever it's built on to being built on top of Angular ARIA, just styled, right? And the answer is like, Probably not. The honest answer is like, if you have a component library that is working for you and is like doing an excellent job, please do not feel compelled to like, I got to rewrite everything to use Angular ARIA. And we're taking this message to heart for Angular Material, where we're not thinking like, oh, we should do a total rewrite using Angular ARIA, because the components are great. They're in really solid shape. They're very stable. They work in production systems. So it just feels like an unnecessary migration. So very unlikely that we take that approach. But who knows? The future might take us there someday.
Oh, Mike, you're muted, or Mikeless. I'm not sure.
No, I muted myself.
Okay.
I'm dealing with a cough, so muting kind of helps there. Is there a possibility that there are some of these ARIA roles? I'm going to pick one at random. I'm pretty sure there's something there from Material. But if there's something like maybe the tree component from ARIA, or the roles, there, the directives there that Material may not offer, that it would then be looked at to build something, like I said, the tree as an example, to build Material implementations of that using ARIA instead, or as the base?
That is very reasonable. I think that's possibly something we would go into. That's way more likely than like rewrites. But yeah, I think that's definitely more in the right direction than the rewrite story. I would also say the funny thing is, like, the material skin in showcasing these on ADev, we had to put together, we did 3 skins per example, and then each page had multiple examples. So it ended up being like, I think like over 100 examples across all of the pages. There's a lot of examples. But those 3 skins, one of them is material. And I found that it was pretty trivial to create that skin, to make a material styled component, especially with the help of like, we're going to throw the buzzword in, with the help of AI. Sundar would be very proud of me. With the help of AI, like, you can style these components really quickly. Like, I'm okay at CSS, but I'm not like a total wizard. We have some super cool examples on there with like some retro skins, like some 8-bit styles that like I don't really know off the top of my head how to do, but thankfully like AI can give you the pieces to create whatever skin you want. Mm-hmm. And that was super, super cool to see. So yeah, maybe in the future, if we see like, hey, there's this gap in Angular Material that like Angular ARIA solves, maybe it doesn't seem like it would be too much work to create a material version.
Is there the Venn diagram of what Material offers and what ARIA offers? Is there pieces that ARIA offers that Material does not at this point? Like I said, I picked tree, but I'm pretty sure Material has a tree. But I didn't know if there was any particular components that you were aware of that may be a potential gap or use case.
That's a great question. I think the answer is no. Material is a pretty comprehensive library. It has a lot of features in there. The interesting thing is we're getting relatively close in terms of like feature parity for what we want to build. Let me preface by saying that, which we can get into in a minute, of like, what is Angular Material trying to build versus explicitly not trying to build. But yeah, I think we're getting pretty close in terms of having that Venn diagram being a circle.
Yeah.
We have a couple chat questions. I also want to go in the direction that you just talked about, and I have other things. So I'm trying to decide. Maybe we ask, because v21 was asking, can we expect support for popover API in terms of keyboard navigation in the top layer? I know it might not flow exactly with what we're talking about, but I wanted to hit it up while it was fresh.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope I understand the question correctly, but yeah, in all of these implementations, I was using the native popover while I was like building these out. So popover is like what these were built on initially. The problem is popover doesn't have like really good positioning right now. I think like, or at least the positioning that it does support is not, I forget the term. It's like generally available versus like widely available. So it's not at the level of stability, specifically the positioning portion of the story. The popover API itself, we felt was robust enough that like it's fine to use. It's just the positioning portion of the story is still not widely available or whatever. So we, in our initial implementations, we used popover API. We were doing our own positioning strategies. And then we felt like, man, we're doing a lot of like logic to get this positioning correct. Could we just reuse a lot of the logic from the CDK overlay? And it took a little bit of finagling to get it right. But now we are at a point where the CDK overlay does give you the option to use a popover. And so that's what the documentation on ADEV is using. So yeah, you can take a look there. It uses the popover and all of that works.
I'm going to share that link that you told us behind the scenes, angular.dev/guide/aria. And then it looks like I copied the overview, but the shorter version will take you there to get to the docs. And also, if you were not here last week, we launched 2 streams, one for mobile and one for desktop. So if you are watching and wondering why our faces are so small and you're on a desktop, there is another stream. So hit up the YouTube for the other link. Excellent. We have some more audience questions. Mike, did you have anything though off of that you wanted to go into?
I did not know. My questions. You can bring up the ones from Michael Small, because those were the exact questions I was going to ask. Of like, in the ecosystem of Angular as a framework, where does ARIA fit in, and what does it play nicely with?
Oh, sorry. I'm reading the question at the same time as I'm listening to your question.
I was too. I did that exact same thing.
No,
I'm going to read Michael's question.
Yeah. Ignore my comment. It was pretty much a synopsis of the question, so it all fits. If it all fits in.
So Michael's saying, when material comes up, I advocate it for because of strong accessibility focus, but not everyone wants the style spec. Traditionally, I say to try the CDK regardless. Would it be better now to say ARIA instead?
I think I would like to say yes. Again, it's in developer preview, so I hesitate to tell people, hey, build your production system on this. But yes, absolutely. ARIA is becoming this basically like a doubling down of the CDK. We saw the CDK and we said, like, there's a lot of really good things in here, but it didn't have a coherent narrative. The CDK was kind of becoming a grab bag of like, there's a lot of stuff going on in there. There's like the bidirectionality for RTL support. There's the overlays in there. We had like a selection thing in there. Like, and then we had the menu primitive, which was like, hey, that's like a component. Which is very different from the other like CDK things in there. So with ARIA, we were really saying like, hey, what inside of the CDK is a part of this narrative, a part of this, like, these are our accessibility primitives. And we wanted to pull those out and put together a comprehensive package that was a bit better organized and a bit more robust.
So like drilling further into that, he had a follow-up, but would it make sense for a non-material project to use a combination of CDK and ARIA?
I don't know if well, you can do whatever you want in your projects. If you mean use a combination of the two, if you mean like I have a CDK component over here and I have a ARIA component over here, 100%, that makes total sense. The word combo here though makes me think of like, you are taking an ARIA component and like, Frankensteining it together. I wouldn't recommend that, especially because like, I don't know, maybe you could, especially with some things like the toolbar, which is like pretty good support for like widgets and flexibility there. But the CDK uses some older Angular features where ARIA is built totally using signals 100% on like the new stuff. So it might be a little bit tricky to integrate. But yeah, I don't know. Honestly, it's not something that I fully attempted, but you might find success there.
I'm curious what the boundaries are for ARIA. I mean, obviously, we're looking at building some usable and accessible components with ARIA, but I know that the CDK also offers some behavior type things like virtual scrolling and drag and drop. That doesn't in my mind, at least as I'm thinking about it now, as I'm getting into thinking about ARIA, does that actually fit into the ARIA story, or is that kind of separate and adjacent, which kind of, in my mind, fits into what Michael was asking about, that
Right.
you can use bits and pieces from both, but there is some overlap where you can get similar functionality from both, but at the same time, some behaviors from CDK may not necessarily apply to ARIA.
Exactly. I think you said that exactly right. The behaviors are definitely something that belong in the CDK. Maybe one day we'll see some of those behaviors make their way into Angular. We've seen that with drag and drop, which is now like you can find it on adev. And so maybe there is a story there where some of these behaviors like that we find extremely valuable and useful, like the overlay, maybe those do make their way into the framework itself. But yeah, like you said, Angular ARIA is a bit more precise on what it's delivering. So we're not going to see those behaviors in there.
That makes a lot of sense. And I think that's exactly what Michael was trying to hint at, is that there are use cases where I need a little bit from both, a little bit from column A, a little bit from column B. And when there is overlap, then just making the strategic decision of, all right, which do I want to pull in from to be able to do whatever it is you're trying to do.
100%. Yeah.
Did we answer this question fully? A different Michael. There's a lot of mics going on right now. So I'm getting a little confused. Since the Angular CDK already handles some of the unstyled behaviors, why the decision to split this into a new Angular ARIA library? What's the long-term vision for the CDK role versus Angular ARIA?
Yeah.
So we kind of touched, I think, a little.
Yeah, we did. It truly is about the coherent narrative portion of like, this is very clearly like the boundaries of this library are more well defined, especially on like what we're delivering. And then also there was that internal story of like, we want this underlying foundation that is framework agnostic, is maybe not the great word, but like uses a shared reactivity system with other frameworks.
So is this you saying the CDK is not framework agnostic?
Yeah, definitely not. CDK is like,
okay, I got you.
So,
Angular through and through.
I got you.
I know you're being, or it seems like you're being strategic about other frameworks that are sharing reactivity. Is that, and I'm just going to come out and ask, and you could either decline to answer or not. Are we talking about Wiz? Is that what we're talking?
Yeah, I can say, yeah, Wiz is definitely on our.
I don't know why I was trying to be cryptic about it earlier. I was like, is it implemented in other frameworks internally? Like Wiz.
Talked about publicly.
We could have just said Wiz. Like, I don't.
Proprietary there. But there is also the possibility that that list is longer than 2 Angular and Wiz.
Yeah, there is. But that's definitely a tougher sell. Like just having these roll out for Angular is already we're very happy with that. It's an ongoing conversation to see if the rest of these like are delivered and is something that leadership wants to continue to pursue.
And is that basis strictly on the fact of the shared reactivity, basically meaning they use the same Signal API?
Yeah, I mean, the cool thing is if you go and read the actual like wrappers for Angular ARIA, like the directives themselves, you'll see that it's a relatively thin layer. Like all of the functionality is inside of this state machine layer. And so really like the bulk of the code is there. And so to create these wrappers for Angular, for Wiz, etc., whatever framework supports signals can do this. It is like not a crazy amount of work. So you get like for after you build the first component, you can get the same one in another framework for like a fraction of the effort.
Fair enough. Is there, and this is outside of this conversation, I know that there were talks about bringing some other popular reactivity frameworks into JavaScript proper. Has there been discussion that you may be aware of that the concept of a signal may be moving into JavaScript standard?
Yes, I'm really excited about that one because it means this becomes like a broad, like support for Angular ARIA and the underlying foundation becomes even more ubiquitous.
I'm curious how much overlap there is between the existing proposal versus Angular's implementation?
I'm not certain. I think the proposal is also in its very early stages, so I don't have a lot of like eggs in that basket. It's just something that I'm like a little excited about because it's like on the horizon, and I'm like, hey, this kind of fits really well into the Angular ARIA story.
I'm just curious what like the order of magnitude. I mean, are we talking about like, oh yeah, it's just a matter of changing an import here and there, versus yeah, we got to touch a whole lot, completely rewrite everything.
Genuinely have no idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't put too many eggs in that basket, and so I haven't explored deeply into what that would take.
Michael Small commented that said, I think Angular's signal syntax is one of the closest to the first round of specs. But yeah, there are many signal or signal-esque things out there. So I'm very curious myself.
Cool.
And when you say signals, I'm assuming that this is broader than just signal. We're also talking computed, writable, effect, the whole.
So yeah, I think internally in the actual like UI patterns layer, we don't use effect. We only use computed, and then even signal, like we use like arrow functions. There's like this wrapper called writable signal like, topics like, and it's like signal like, and it's like this is kind of the glue where it's like every framework basically adheres to this like underlying type definition.
Yeah.
And so we do have a lot of flexibility in terms of what we consider like a signal at that layer. Obviously, the Angular directives layer is bought into the Angular framework. And so that uses effect, that uses signal and model signal, and et cetera, et cetera.
Do you want to pull up the docs and give us a tour of the 9 current ARIA components launching yesterday in v21 and like what each one solves and where you expect devs to use them?
Absolutely. Yeah.
We see your screen. It's lovely.
Great. Yeah. So here's Angular ARIA. We have, is it 9 or 8 accessibility?
Oh gosh, I said 9. Is it 9? I've like promised everyone 9.
No, it's okay. Actually, maybe that came from. Actually, this is really good because it ties into another conversation that I wanna have. But I think we delivered 8 accessibility primitives. The interesting thing about that is 8 accessibility primitives doesn't mean 8 components. If you look over here, I think there are 12 right now. And actually, we could have put more. We could have done like up to like 15 or something. But for example, I'll just showcase. The combo box is basically an input that has a dropdown, and you can like select a value from the dropdown, or you can type a value, et cetera, et cetera. A combo box can be read-only. Like if you make the input read-only, what does that mean? It means you have essentially a select, which like are 2 different components to my brain typically, but to accessibility like roles, these are the same accessibility role. This is a combo box. This is a combo box. And then you can continue this further, and you can imagine like, well, what about if the combo box has a grid inside of it? And it's like, oh, that's a date picker, right? And so we start to see like these multiple permutations kind of expand. And so from these like 8 core accessibility patterns that we've implemented, we start to get like, I don't want to say exponential benefit, but like that you start to get a lot more permutations with each one as they start to synergize. So combo box and list box, combo box and grid. There's even a story for combo box and tree, which I've like tabled for now because that just feels a little bit complicated. And like I don't want to recommend that the community.
Hang on, are you talking about a tree inside of the combo box? Is that what you're talking, like a nested situation?
Exactly. So like this drop down would be like a tree, and then so that's like maybe a bit more complex than 99% of.
You're not trying to fit like a pivot grid in a drop down. So like what are people complaining about, right? Like it's not that bad.
Exactly. Yeah. We didn't want to give developers overwhelming amounts of stuff. Yeah, we have a lot going on here. I was really happy with the demos that we were able to put together. So maybe, I mean, one that's just spectacular is this.
Oh my gosh.
That is like so interesting to look at. Again, these are using like the same shared like underlying foundation. But you can style it however you want. You can organize the HTML with a lot of flexibility. Let me think of another one that was very fun. Ooh, tabs. I like tabs. So here's the ADEV one. We have a material one that is like very material-esque, right?
Okay.
And then we have a retro one that like feels fun. And yeah, so these are meant to inspire the community. Like, hey, these are really easy to like make your own. Essentially, if you're going to be building out a component library, maybe if you just need something off the shelf, don't go and reach for these. Like, this is probably way more low level than you need. Angular Material is great. There are other third-party like community libraries that you can go and reach for that are amazing. But if you are in the position where you're saying, hey, my team or my organization needs a set of components that fit our design system, that fit our style and is tailored to our company, then these become like a lifesaver, because it saves you a lot of the work of figuring out these accessibility patterns, and it gives you the flexibility you need to be able to deliver whatever it is that your team needs. I mean, you can see here that we have like these cute little animations, right? Between all of these. And yeah, I think this flexibility is important when you're trying to accomplish that.
So to be clear, you're not advocating the use of any of these components. You're just showing what's capable of how you can build interesting components using ARIA.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to take these and like use them, feel free. Like, these are pretty solid. I think I see them more as like starting points, because like maybe you want to take these, you want to do your own thing for them, and so that's where I would kind of imagine this going. Yeah, but these are meant to be like really clear starting points of like, look at what flexibility you can achieve, look at how different these can be, and then yeah, do your own thing. You're free to explore however you want.
That's awesome. I wonder, like, can we talk about, we brought it up at the very beginning, roadmap. You were saying that you're very happy with this current set, to the extent of, do you see like this being it? Do you think you're pretty much done?
No, definitely.
Okay.
We definitely have some things. I touched on it earlier, but like a date picker component would be really cool to see, or at least like showcasing how to do a date picker with these accessibility primitives, making sure that that is like a first-class thing that we support. There might be more that gets thrown in here, but actually this goes back to something that I've been hoping to highlight. On ADEV, if you look at the components that are showcased there, and if you look at the Angular ARIA package, you might start asking like, hey, where's like the button or the checkbox? You know, like, where are these like really basic components that like I feel like every library has these, and these are really easy to build and showcase. Like, why not deliver on those? And so the answer there is like, we shouldn't. Honestly, what we have found is like, the button, like, you should just use the button. The native HTML button is great. Like, there's no need for us to ship a whole separate Angular ARIA button, is what we've found up until now. Still having discussions, because people feel strongly. They feel like, you know, maybe this is not like, maybe it would just be nice to have a coherent library with every component. But actually, so in the beginning, you said 9 accessibility primitives for Angular ARIA, and we actually removed one. We had 9, and then we removed one because we felt that it was too simple. And so we had the radio group as one of the accessibility primitives, and we said, this is starting to look like this is not providing any value that the existing HTML radio group doesn't already provide. And so we said, like, let's just take it out. Like, there's no meaningful reason to include this. And so that's kind of the approach that we've had until now. Who knows? Maybe things will change in version 22. Maybe I'll have a change of heart. Maybe leadership will push for something else. But yeah, there are a lot of things that native HTML does really well. Some things that, like, aren't enough. We've seen things in the HTML spec don't necessarily always evolve with the needs of developers, and that's why a library like this exists. But some things work great, so just use those.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
As I look at these, I'm wondering what the starting point is. Like, all right, I don't like the tabs that are from Material. I don't like this retro one. I want to build my own. Is starting point a empty CSS sheet or SAS or whatever, or is there something like, hey, have some CSS variables that we're expecting, or what's the starting point? What am I getting out of the box aside from the directives to be able to build the DOM out of?
So if you mean starting point, like if I was a developer and I was going to go and try to build something with these, what I would do is,
well, not necessarily you, and any Angular developer who says, hey, I need to build our custom tabs because they need to be super different looking and everything else, for whatever reason, but they need to be accessible.
100%. So like what I would recommend would be to take one of these examples, probably the basic example. You probably don't want to start with the retro example. That's like a little crazy.
Hey, it's coming back, man. It's coming back.
Yeah. I would take one of these examples. I would copy the HTML, the CSS, and figure out do the imports. And then I would probably use AI to, like, hey, I need this to look more padding on the tabs. I need, I don't know, I need my select to be this font instead of this font. I've found a lot of success just talking to AI to like move towards other design systems. If you're a CSS, like if you're good at like if you know what you're doing, you know how to style things, you know how to do the animations, and you're like confident there, then like absolutely like go ahead and rip out all the CSS and start from scratch. I've also found a lot of success there. I think the majority of these were built from scratch with just the plain HTML and then like building up the CSS. And so that's totally valid as well. Again, you have full control over the HTML. So like, there's no like hidden, oh, there's a div nested inside of this that's going to mess up my styles. You know what I mean? Which tends to be the case with component libraries like Angular Material, where it's like, I want to do this animation, but inside of this component, there's like 50 divs going on. So it's like hard to style. But the HTML is the HTML. You can style it without that friction.
I'm curious, was there any consideration of showing an example that is no style?
Oh,
I'm curious what
are you saying it's like a scary move? I personally think it's really fun to see things. Oh, I can take your screen down.
I'm curious, like I said, I'm trying to establish in my mind what the starting point is of, hey, I want to build tabs, and I understand start with this, rip it out, but maybe I created the project and I'm on an airplane. I don't have Wi-Fi, which sounds really weird to say right now, but whatever. But
right now is when tabs must be still.
Yeah, I'm somewhere where I don't have connectivity, so I don't have the ability to go grab that. But I've already installed everything, and I'm starting with an empty project.
Wait, so can you rephrase that question? Because I feel like that was like 3 questions.
Yeah. So I'm looking for the starting point. So I'm assuming like with a tab that if I were to essentially just add the directives, no style, that if I were to click on one of them, then I would see the corresponding template.
I think so. Okay. Here's the thing. We have given a lot of flexibility to these things. Yeah. So the really cool thing is if you just remove the CSS entirely, you will probably end up with like a little bit of a mess on your page, except it's to screen readers, it's the same.
Right.
And that's kind of the beauty of it, is it's like with zero CSS, this thing still is like accessible in that realm. To visual people, not accessible at all. Like you've broken everything. but to the screen reader, it's
Right.
still the same. It doesn't rely on like doing display none or something like that to achieve its accessibility story.
Right.
And so, yes, like clicking and like arrow keys, all of that functionality will still be there. And you can do that. You can like start from that point and work your way towards the component you want. It's just that it's probably a little bit tougher than like starting with like something that's relatively styled and then like massaging it to be the design that you need. But yeah, if you want to do that, it's pretty fun. Like you have full, like again, the full control thing is like for me, everything. As a developer, I want to touch everything. Stop like hiding things under layers and layers and layers.
Yeah.
All right, that's my new goal, that I'm going to create a coding exercise for an interview of, hey, here's a working thing, make it look pretty.
Yeah, actually, that's not a crazy idea. That's like a fun project. Like, doesn't take that long, honestly.
And after you make it pretty, we're still going to test if it's still accessible. Michael was saying it's a saw trap. Mike is chained in an airplane with a laptop and no internet. Absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
I had a question and now it has left me. I need to think of it before we wrap. Mike, do you have anything? Because I saw some other things in chat.
I did not. I've been in my own head trying to think of like how I can play with this and how creative do I need to be with CSS, because I am not a strong CSS person. So that's my downfall.
So I thought of
using this would be scary to me as not being a strong CSS developer.
Oh, I feel like it's exciting, like an adventure, you know, like how let's level up. I'm really excited for it working well with like the Angular MCP server and like it building out UI using this. I assume, Wagner, that it knows the like MCP server knows all about these directives and will like use them where needed.
Yeah. Yes, that side of the story is so interesting, because if you're building your application, you don't want like AI, you don't want to tell AI, build me a menu. You know what I mean? Like that's a tough ask for AI. There's a lot of keyboard going on. There's a lot of hover and focus management, et cetera, et cetera. Getting the roles in the states and everything correct is tricky. You want these like slightly bigger building blocks for AI to use. So you can say like, I need a toolbar here, I need a menu here, and I need it to look, let's say like glass morphism is my design system. I want it to look like glass, right? You can do that with these primitives, which is so exciting. Like that is a future that I like to think about, where I want to be like Tony Stark, like designing things and just being like, and put this here and make this there. And so this, like in my eyes, feels like a step towards that, which is super exciting. And 100% the MCP server is one of our core focuses. We had an excellent engineer. Her name is Tiffany. She was spearheading that initiative. And so a big part of just getting that working is making sure that the RAG system underneath there is like set up correctly and is able to, based on a user's query, know, hey, I should pull from Angular ARIA and use something from there, throw that example into their application, do that successfully. That's tricky to get right. AI is not a precise science, of course, but she's been doing an amazing job there, and I'm sure the support is going to be top tier.
Amazing. Yeah, I was playing around with it yesterday, and I'm really excited about the tutoring part as well, with in regards to all the new things in Angular. I put it in chat, ngMCP, if you want to get started, just type that into your terminal and it'll give you the JSON bits to plug into your MCP JSON file and get going. Did a project. Hey, nice. Caesar said, I just updated my project and installed ARIA.
Awesome.
Get it.
Really exciting.
Oh, beautiful. Also, I remember a time when updates were not that, where it was like, oh yeah, I just updated real quick. Like, I just want to like shout out to like the Angular team that it is now that. So I'm excited.
Speaking of shout outs, this is a refreshing project, not just from what it delivers, but also from the idea of saying, hey, we realize that people want to create accessible applications, but they want to have control. So this is our way of saying, hey, materials there, the CDK is there, but this is taking a step back outside the box and completely rethinking the idea of trying to build an accessible UI.
100%. And I like the way that you phrase that, of like taking a step back and rethinking this stuff, because that's 100% where this was born out of, where we looked at Angular material and we were like, guys, we are like, the maintenance burden was starting to grow and grow and grow as users came in. And that library, it concerns itself with everything. And so Angular ARIA is, as far as the maintenance burden is concerned, significantly lower. It's purely focused on the functionality. And so that is like a breath of fresh air on that. And then on top of that, the like something that we like to call it is a layer cake strategy. But in taking a step back, we said, like, if we were to divide up the responsibilities of like what is material, we would have this like functionality, accessibility layer at the bottom, maybe like a wrapper for some of the APIs to be a bit cleaner and only the things that we want to expose, and then the styles portion at the top of the cake, and ta-da, you have Angular material again. That story of like taking a step back was critical to being able to provide something like this.
I like the idea of what you you were talking about, of not building the checkbox or not building some other simple examples. And I've been building our design system, our form library, using material as the foundation. And I see that being really, really evident when to use a mat input or a mat button. It's not a component. You're not changing the selector. You're adding a directive. So basically say, take this thing that is already accessible and then add on the things and the bits that I want.
Yeah. That's
so similar approach there, but at the same time, styling is a completely different discussion.
Exactly. That's right. Yeah, I think you guys got the philosophy.
Let's see. I'm trying to see if we have any questions in chat that we haven't addressed. Is there anything else, Wagner, that you wanted to show off, talk about, or make sure that we covered today?
Yeah, I maybe going back to the like 8 accessibility primitives, but how many components is that? Something that came to my mind after that conversation was like, I think in Angular material we have a stepper component, or maybe it's in the CDK, and that component that component is really just tabs under the hood. And we have tabs. And so literally today, somebody can go and do a skin on tabs that is a stepper. And that level of flexibility is like so exciting to me, because it's like, it's not telling you like you have to have only these components. You can go and build these other components that are like canonical and like the developer community knows. And even if we don't showcase it, it's just a tab. It's just tabs. And you can build it.
Yeah, that's very cool.
That's very cool.
I had something else pop in my head. Oh yeah, I was going to open another tab so that I can create an issue to be able to have a tree within a select.
Okay, but like, how funny would that be if like the community like upvoted that so much?
The crazy thing is, like, we do have support for that. Like it works right now, which is like crazy. But the story around that, even the accessibility story is like, I don't know, why are you doing this? Like there's probably a better way to achieve what you're trying to do there. I don't know. But it's crazy. We have like our own demo application where we have like a working version of this.
You may show it. I don't. I can keep it behind the stage. Back. I just saw you click in. I was like, I can bring it up. I have the power.
Yeah, I guess we can show this.
Is it like so beautiful?
100% internal implementations of things. Here's like this is our playground where we experimented with a bunch of stuff. That's fun. And here's like the regular list box, which like, I don't know, New York, whatever. Here's like combo box with auto filtering, combo box with highlight filtering, et cetera, et cetera. And here's the tree ones where it's like a month thing. And so it's crazy. Like nobody should do this. Like December. Like, yeah.
I'm pretty sure people are already doing it though. So I really think this exists.
I do think this exists too.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is probably something we're going to want to roll out at some point. It's just, it felt like a little bit too much to try to deliver at this time. It was like, this is a bit more complex than we need to be, perhaps.
But that kind of, to me, falls under the idea of, isn't there like an option group just in the HTML for the options inside of a select?
Okay, in a combo box, you can have, I think it's 4 things that can go in there. You can have a list box, you can have a tree, you can have a grid, and then the last one is you can have a dialogue. And dialogue is kind of like the escape hatch, where it's like you can put anything, like you can do whatever you want in here. to like, you can put like buttons, select, like whatever. Here I have a combo box pop up that has a combo box inside of it. And like, this is valid because like, again, at the end of the day, all you're trying to do is provide a way for your users to select the value. And so this is the escape hatch for that. And so if you want to do crazy things, combo box with a dialogue is the route to go. Otherwise, if you're just trying to use, I have a basic list, maybe like a user select, right? Like user picker, this would be great. Tree, maybe if you have like a file system that you're trying to read through, this would be probably useful. Select for very basic, like choosing a couple things here or there, multi-select, etc. Yeah, those would be
very
like
cool.
Applications.
This is internal playground, right? Chat was asking if it's a public playground.
This is an internal playground.
I'm gonna take it off the screen. Verse sneaky, you saw nothing.
2 things came to mind as you were showing that. One is, just because something is accessible doesn't not make it usable. And with that, go back to the Spider-Man quote of, with great power comes great responsibility.
100%. Yeah.
Did you just Spider-Man us? I love that.
I absolutely did.
I wanted to shout out Michael's comment. He said, speaking of material, best era for it, going from M1 legacy to M3 was quite the project for us, but so worth it. It was the best flexibility in years. We used tokens to do stuff we used to need deep for. And there was some discourse recently about the size of material components for stuff like an icon, but looking at the source, it was clear there was so much accessibility baked in and taken for granted.
Yeah, that's right. Actually, like the size is a bit of a concern, right? Because like, you don't want to be shipping like massive things. And that's like one of the issues with like Angular, like shipping a library like Angular material, where you have to ship every use case, even if the developer is not using that use case, which is like unfortunate in terms of like styles, because like, hey, I know my application doesn't need to be like whatever feature, like this this combo box is not going to have a tree in it. But if you're an Angular material, it's like, too bad, you get all of those styles. And so the nice added bonus of using Angular ARIA is you get more control over what you're shipping.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Wagner, for coming on today and walking us through not only the launch and everything it entails, but the why behind it and answering community questions. It meant a lot. This is really cool.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate taking the time to have this conversation.
Yeah. And congratulations.
Thank you.
So before we sign off, any picks for this week? I'm just really excited for Thanksgiving next week here in the States. Turkey Day. My son has a little, they call it Turkey Bowl at school, where all of the classes compete in sports. I don't know why. And like, there's like turkey celebration. So I'm very excited for that. It's a weird way to celebrate in Oklahoma, but what about you guys? Anything you're looking forward to or want to shout out?
Mike, anything for you?
I've been sucked into a TV show that's been out for 10 plus years, I think. I've been watching, going back and watching The Blacklist. I don't know, something about James Spader and the way he delivers and his voice and his mannerisms. I enjoy watching him.
Nice.
That's cool. Yeah, I was afraid you were going to say like Game of Thrones, and I was like, no, don't do it.
Yeah, how's it end?
It's like, it's been so good. I hope it has a good ending. Yeah, I think for me, I'm really excited about Thanksgiving as well. And I've got a baby coming soon. It's gonna be baby number 2, and we're having a baby moon, I think in the coming weeks. So super excited for that. I got grandma watching our 1-year-old, which is really cool. So we get a little bit of a break and can feel like regular people for a while.
That is so exciting. I hope not only from after the launch, but like leading up to your person launch that you will be having soon in January. I hope it's just a smooth, restful season going into that for you guys. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you so much. I love the way you phrased that.
Yeah, that was awesome.
It sounded a little violent. I was like launching into the atmosphere. Like it's not that. It's not a different kind of launch. But also, I suppose we use that for code, and we don't mean a violent thing. Unless we do. Do we imply violence when we talk about launching our code?
Only if it doesn't go well. I have one other pick.
Oh yeah, tell us.
With v21 rolling out v-test, support for v-test natively within 21. I'm super excited to get to 21 and potentially changing around our configuration in our projects. Dude,
that reminds me. Who did the artwork? Do you know, Wagner?
I don't know.
That
whole initiative was spearheaded by Mark, and it came out super cool.
Okay. When I find out.
Yeah. You can reach out to him to find out. But
I'm going to keep digging, because if you don't know what we're talking about, yesterday there was a release video on the official Angular YouTube channel. Go check it out if you haven't seen it. It blew my mind, and many GDEs were freaking out as it was like going live because it was so cool. But I still don't know the artist, so I'm gonna have to keep digging, sleuthing around, snooping about, but I'll figure it out.
Yeah, that artwork was incredible. It was actually the inspiration for our retro skin on the doc site. So that's why those exist. And super last minute shout out. Go take a look at the tree retro skin. One of those is a little bit more different kind of retro and so cool. Like really take a look at that. It's awesome.
I absolutely will be checking that out after this. Thank you so much, Wagner. You are an absolute joy to have on, not only like your beautiful brain, but your heart as well for the community. So thank you for being here.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. This has been great.
Awesome. Oh, thank you, Mike. Did you share that? Perfect. There's the release video. Check it out. It's real good. It's real good stuff. All right. We're signing off. Happy Turkey Day if you all celebrate it, and we'll see you all on the next one. Hi, everybody.